Welcome to Assembly Hall, where it was as loud as it's been in probably years.
Oh yeah.
As Tom Crean said tonight, maybe the loudest it's been since the Cody Zeller era. I'm Alex McCarthy, Jordan Gusky alongside me. Indiana knocks off number 4 Iowa tonight, 85-78, in unquestionably Indiana's biggest win of the season. It's their only ranked win so far. It's only their second chance at a ranked win so far. Obviously,
Yeah.
they did not take advantage of the last one when Duke beat them pretty badly. But here tonight, Indiana stays unbeaten at home, moves into a tie for first place in the Big Ten with Iowa and Maryland. All three of those teams are at 10-2 in conference play. And this was kind of a weird game. I mean, Indiana dominated the first 14 minutes or
Right.
so, and then Iowa just went on a run at the end of the first half, the beginning of the second
Yeah,
half.
it was crazy. And talking to McCaffrey after the game, he said that really, and you could see in his when he was yelling at his team when he called the timeout with 6 minutes left in the first half that they just weren't playing Iowa basketball. And when they started playing Iowa basketball, it just went right in line with what IU does sometimes when they have huge leads, where they kind of just take their foot off the gas and kind of let things coast. And against the number 4 team in the nation, you really can't do that. And so that allowed Iowa to go on, I think, what amounted to a 27 or 29-9 run to get back in the lead, 27-9 run, 47-45. And then IU did take the lead back and kind of for good in the last 8 minutes or so. But it was never really one where you could breathe.
Right. Right.
What was most interesting for me is that 10 Hoosiers scored. Nobody scored more than 14 points. It was a real team effort, and then that was completely different when you looked at Iowa.
Yeah.
Iowa only had 5 guys score. They only had their 5 starters score. Now, McCaffrey did say that he played all his starters 30-plus minutes, so that doesn't help when the bench guys don't get a lot of time. But still, you're looking. He said it was huge that the bench didn't contribute. So whether or not you kind of blame that on his coaching or just the guys not producing, it's kind of up to the person to see.
Yeah, and I wrote it in my game story that Iowa leaned heavily on its senior kind of star, and Indiana had to win almost in spite of Yogi Ferrell at times, even though it's weird. Yogi Ferrell led IU with 14 points, despite only making 2 field goals. He was 2 for 12 from the floor, but hit all 8 of his free throws, which were huge, obviously, down the stretch, and both of his field goals were 3-pointers. But Iowa leaned on Jared Utoff. He scored 24 points, a game high. He's their guy. He's their Big Ten Player of the Year candidate, and he lived up to it more or less tonight, even though Indiana kind of made him really inefficient near the end of the game, especially. I mean, he missed it felt like his last 7 or 8 shots he missed.
Find the bucket.
And when he got cold, when his shots kind of dried up, Iowa was kind of left out in the cold there. So Indiana was able to take advantage late. Big shot from Troy Williams. Troy, again, puts together a kind of effort where at times you're left being like, when did you learn to play basketball? Have you learned to play basketball? He got benched a couple times, but he ends up actually posting a really good stat line: 13 points, 7 rebounds, only 3 turnovers. It seemed like more, but it wasn't. And then he hit one of the biggest shots of the game in the last couple minutes. He made a jumper as time expired on the shot clock to pushing Indiana's lead to 5, I think. And then Indiana was able to, Colin Hartman dunk and a couple Yogi Ferrell free throws later. Indiana closed out the win. So this, again, is kind of it feels a little bit like after Indiana beat Michigan last week, where we went into it thinking, okay, this is like an actual test for Indiana. It's a team that's been playing well. And Indiana obviously hasn't really played the top of the Big Ten, and it feels like Indiana's kind of proven itself. Now, the question is, are they going to be able to follow up on this effort with a win or at least a good performance in East Lansing on Sunday? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. It's not a place where Indiana plays well ever, really. But tonight was as legitimate a win as Indiana's gotten all year.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can't get more legitimate than really beating the number 4 team in the nation.
Well, you can do it in 3 ways. You can beat the number 3 team, you can beat the number 2
Okay.
team, you can beat the number. Yeah.
All right, math is hard, but no, I think it's huge, and especially as we've seen, they've weathered storms against some of the lesser teams, against Minnesota,
Right.
but now they've shown that they can do it against one of the best teams in the nation, a team that's going to compete for the Big Ten title. And Yogi said after the game that this is going to really propel them to try to get this outright. That this win is huge. If you're looking at tiebreaker situations late in the year, you're going to lose some of these tough games. You're going to lose games to Penn State. You're going to lose at Wisconsin. But getting Iowa at home, keeping this win streak alive, is just critical for this season because IU hasn't really proven itself as a really great road team except for that win at Michigan, which seemed after the Penn State game kind of like an outlier.
Yeah. And after Michigan State beat the snot out of Michigan at Michigan too a couple days later.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely really important to get this one, and it can't really be understated.
Yeah, and it's weird in a season that's been just total insanity in the Big Ten, as it I guess kind of always is.
Yeah.
Indiana's been as consistent as anybody in terms of being able to win games. I mean, yeah, they dropped the really bad one at Penn State, but I mean, other than that, I mean, they've played really, really well, really consistently. So I don't know. We'll see if they can keep it up. This is kind of the start of their tough stretch, as Tom Crean said in the last couple of days. This is the schedule that the computer gave them, so this is what they're going to have to deal with. So, yeah, tip off at 1 on Sunday against Michigan State, something like that.
Get brunch before.
Yeah. Get brunch. Go to Runcible Spoon if you live in Bloomington, and then take in Indiana, Michigan State. But
can we get this sponsored by Runcible Spoon?
I would love to get some aspect of my life sponsored by Runcible Spoon. That would be great. We'll work on that. We'll give you an update on that on Sunday. But until then, thanks for watching, and we will talk to you soon.